Loading snacks. Without any further ado, I want to get into the major pop culture news. Our first story is really about the changes. Oh, you go ahead, do it. Go ahead, do it. Go ahead, do it.
Number one.
Oh,
Taking it back, baby.
old school, baby. Yeah, Netflix is going all cash in on Warner Brothers.
Ooh.
So Netflix has amended their offer to buy Warner Brothers, changed it to an all cash deal. There's been some back and forth between them and some push to speak specifically to the investors to try to get them to take an all cash deal that was being offered by like Jared Kushner and his folks, and them really saying that the deal that Netflix was offering wasn't a good deal. So Netflix posted to their website today that they are offering an all cash deal. Still looking at like $27.75 per share. And the people who own shares will still have an option to cash out their additional shares with the possible sale later on of the additional properties that Netflix is not buying. Netflix is really only interested in picking up Warner Brothers big properties and really just Warner Brothers. They don't really seem to care too much about some of the Discovery stuff. They're not getting the cable channels and the sport, like they're not getting any of that kind of stuff. They're really interested in having ownership over the IP, which I mean, from a business standpoint, kind of makes a lot of sense. They can do a lot more with it. So, it's an interesting move. Them doing that means that the shareholders can probably make a decision more quickly. This is still something we probably wouldn't see until much later. Um, Doctor Who, we will still call you Doctor Who if you want us to. You say you miss your name no longer being Doctor Who, feel free. You know what I mean?
That's a whole another story. I don't know about that one.
Yeah. What's up, man? Good to see you too.
What's popping?
So yeah, so I mean, look, Domingo, I don't know how much you've read into this or how much information you have, but again, the idea of Netflix making a purchase of Warner Brothers, what are your initial thoughts on that? Like, do you even think that feels like a good idea?
I mean, no, I don't actually know what exactly everything has to go with it. There's that word again. I'm gonna stop saying that. That's a drinking game. I did hear something about them with Sony today too, but that's different. The Warner Brothers thing, I don't know how much Hollywood is really, from what I hear, it's really going bad, and it's like everything actually has like far as the streaming. I'm not gonna say social media, but mostly just the streaming stuff and having your own things anywhere else except for going to the theaters and big film companies is really tough right now. So I think that if they're trying to really sell it because it's not doing much, take the deal. And then you talking about all cash. I mean, that's kind of crazy to walk up to a park bench for like $20 million, $80 million.
I mean, the thing about it is, I guess for a lot of people, their concerns are like the consolidation of all the IPs beginning to fall under one banner and not liking like one company owning so much IP, right, and having so much control over it. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's kind of almost already like that. And WB had, that means you're talking about Harry Potter, you're talking about the DC property, so your Batman, your Superman, like all of that kind of stuff falling under that banner too. And all being under Netflix. And again, like we've talked about it a little bit on the show before, but a lot of the big concern coming from Hollywood is that their fear that Netflix doesn't want theaters to survive. They want theaters to go away so that people don't really have a choice but to watch stuff like Netflix, which they already have a lot of control of, you know what I mean, over how much of that stuff is there. And so if they have control over those things, and that just kind of could put a nail in the coffin for theaters. Yes.
Or this would be some ingenious stuff right here. So now I'm kind of happy to see they're going to have something actually downtown where the old Woody's used to be at. So don't know exactly what kind of like employment or opportunities that come with that. But fandom this, let's say Netflix opens up their own branded theaters in select places throughout the country, and then offer to show the same thing that they have in there, but also at the house, creating their own kind of experience.
Right.
Like they got the drinking thing, they got the club that they have in some places like that. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the with what they did with Stranger Things, because of the way the contracts were, and they couldn't technically sell tickets because it would violate the contracts that the actors had, so they couldn't actually sell movie tickets for those. So
Okay.
they did this deal with the theaters, with AMC and Regal, Cinemark, where they sold vouchers, and the vouchers were really for concessions, and that was how people could get in to see the last episode of Stranger Things in the theater, was that they bought a voucher that gave them concession for the food. And what Netflix did was they allowed the theaters to keep 100% of the profit, which is a thing that just doesn't happen. But if they're in a position to take properties that they have that generally have only been available on Netflix, and in some way make a big deal about sending some portion of it to the theater or something like that, and then if that means that they could afford to give the theater 100% of the profits from something like that, because again, those people are then, if they ever want to watch it again, if it's not in the theater anymore, where's the only place they can go watch it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Netflix. So if they're like, yeah, you can have 100% of the profit because we're going to get, you know what I mean? They're going to stay with us, or we're going to, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't lose Netflix subscribers by putting the last episode of Stranger Things in the theater. You know what I mean? If anything, all the people who went to the theater are people who are already Netflix subscribers. You know what I mean? So like, they don't lose anything by doing that. So it'll be interesting to see, how that pans out.
Right.
Andrew, what up? Says hello. Awesome appearance from Domingo. That's right.
Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? I
Um,
did hear they kind of stopped a little bit though. They're not necessarily it halted in their actual subscribers just for a little bit, just a tiny bit.
yeah, I mean, look, you could see that you don't bring in, like, there's a possibility, like, nobody is gonna go subscribe to Netflix to see the last episode of something that's 5 seasons long already. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You might have dropped off your subscription at some point, and maybe you're coming back for the fifth season, right?
Mhm.
Because you weren't paying for, you know what I mean?
So,
But they're not like, they're not gonna stop. They're not canceling their subscription because that episode is in, you know what I mean, is in the theater. Like, that's not a thing. So, I mean, look, we'll have to see what happens. Again, my thought process on it is that Netflix having ownership of that much IP, the best way for them to turn a profit out of owning all that IP wouldn't be to put it all on Netflix. It makes more sense for them to have ownership and then license that stuff out to Amazon so that Amazon can show it on Prime. For them to license it out to, to Hulu, to license it out to, everybody else, and just kind of piecemeal it, because
right,
now they have control over it. So it would make sense for them to take that IP and have other streaming services paying them
right,
to show that IP on their services, and it would give people a reason to go and subscribe to those services. So it really kind of is a power play that's very different. You know what I mean, for Netflix. Well, hell.
Gentlemen,
what up? What up?
What's good, buddy?
nothing much. Feeling
Welcome to
feeling
the
pretty
show.
good. Feeling actually not too bad right now.
Feeling
I'm
good?
glad. I'm so glad to hear that, broski. You know what I mean? So glad to hear that. They was starting to root for Domingo to take your place, bro. They're getting excited.
Listen, I got a whole nother worry right here. This is talk. We'll talk off camera about that.
Oh, bud.
You think about it though, man. Is I'm not to. Cause we got 3 spots, but to leave it with that is that you got to understand if somebody's not old enough to really know. There was this place called Blockbuster that was Friday nights, hands
Yeah,
down. Before that, you had Earl's Video back in the day and Hollywood Video, where stuff
right,
came out like literally like a year after, and you had to
right.
wait for VHS or wait for beta, to stand in that line, write your name on the book, and see which person's coming in to bring the album, bring it back. And then it came that part where if you didn't rewind your stuff back, it was like an extra $5 or whatever they want to do. To the same company that challenged this whole entire world, and now from mail order red box stuff, now they rule in everything, and it's pretty crazy. So you got to think about the origin of that. So when you said this could make good sense, I mean, we seen it come from one way to the next, so we don't really know. But I'm
Yeah, I
glad they
mean,
know.
that evolution isn't going to go away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's always going to be something new, some new way to watch, some new way to, you know what I mean, to consume it. And could the deals that theaters had with companies like Blockbuster that said y'all can't, you guys can't put this out for a year. You know what I mean? Or it'll be available to rent, but you can't buy it to own it for you. You know what I mean? For a year, that kept theaters in business, right? And theaters needed that because even back then they didn't make money on movie tickets. We've talked about it tons of times. They made their money in concessions. So you know, it's an important move. Let's see. Andrew says, could Netflix do what Prime does, where if you're a Netflix subscriber, you can get tickets for Netflix movies? They certainly could.
Yeah, definitely could do that.
That makes
You know what I
sense.
mean? They certainly could. They certainly could say, if you're a subscriber, you know, open your Netflix app when you get to the theater, pop up your QR code, and they'll scan
Mm-hmm.
this, and that's your voucher. You know what I mean, or something like that, right? Or use that to claim it ahead of time. Like, there's any number of ways that they could maximize the idea of you being a subscriber,
Mm-hmm.
to give you access to it. Where if you're not a subscriber, maybe you just have to go and pay for a regular ticket, and maybe the
Yeah,
theaters get to keep, you know what I mean, that money.
that
Where,
side of it.
yeah, it's just
That and just
there's
or you get exclusive stuff, like whether it be like the
correct.
movie, maybe, hey, this is here's some previews for things that have not yet been announced, but you only get them because you subscribe to Netflix, something along the lines of that.
Bro, it could be as simple as a popcorn bucket. If
Yeah.
you go to the theater
I'll
and
take
you
that.
show that you're a subscriber to Netflix and you got a QR code, you scan that. Wait, not you get the popcorn bucket. You get to
You
buy the
can buy the
popcorn bucket.
popcorn
Like,
bucket.
but
I'm
like,
not
if you're
mad at
not a
that.
subscriber, you don't even have the option. Like, again, if you think about how crazy people are going for the popcorn buckets, and truthfully, what popcorn buckets has done for the movie industry is
Oof.
honestly needs to be studied. Like, there should be a case study on it, because they got us, bro. Like, people who love to go to the movies tend to be the kind of people who are also collectors. It just like it goes hand in hand. So it makes a lot of sense. So we'll see how it pans out. Look at him. See, you know what I'm saying?
The monkey
Yeah.
popcorn. Just don't let the arm come down. The arm
And
can.
listen, we just all right. So look, we're moving on to the next one. K, you're up.
Number 2.
Oh,
You heard in a minute. That's crazy, right?
so in case you didn't see this today, TCL, the TV company, and Sony have announced that they have a deal. Essentially, TCL is taking over Sony's television business, which is
Which
a really interesting thing.
mhm.
The way right now, it's not a done deal, right? They
Mm-hmm.
basically have made a statement of intent between the two. Both companies have said right now the plan is for us to work together. TCL would take over 51% of Sony's television business, and
Mm-hmm.
Sony would own 49% of the business. And the TVs are expected to maintain Sony's name, the Bravia name,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. But it opens up an avenue where we've talked, I mean, years ago, but several times, about where Sony is as a company and how profitability for them has been questionable over the years, and they had to like give up doing VAIO computers, and they at one
Mm-hmm.
point were like looking at going away completely from doing televisions, right? Sony cameras, like a lot of that kind of stuff isn't the same as it was. And if you go back, a lot of that stems from a lot of the Japanese, not just television manufacturers, but electronics manufacturers. Back when that tsunami hit a number of years
Mm-hmm.
ago, it did irreparable damage to a lot of the business that they had and their ability to put product together and get that product over to the US. And that's when you really started to see a much bigger bit of the market share be taken over by your Samsungs and your LGs. Hold on, we gotta show some love to Kidlet. What
Oh,
up, Kidlet?
Kid.
You
hey.
know what I mean?
Oh,
And Cuddy in the building. Classic number 2 countdown. Loving it. You know what I'm saying? Back in the building. You feel me? Um, so Sony has really kind of struggled in for a lot of companies like Panasonic, right? Kay can tell you, we sold TVs for years. Panasonic's, their televisions, their plasma TVs were some of the most incredible TVs you could get. And they were hurt immensely by what happened there. And they more or less pulled out of the TV business altogether here in the US, right? What Sony did to kind of combat that is they kind of went away from their lower end TVs and really kind of went all in on premium marketing and considering what they had premium TVs. And so, like, if you wanted a Sony TV, you're paying more money. They're really pushing the high end stuff. But on the other end of that, what's happened to them is it has cost them. And TCL, being a Chinese company, they've been able to turn out really, really high quality TVs at a much lower price point. And so the two of them in combination, TCL having access to some of what Sony's tech is, and Sony having access to some of what TCL's manufacturing is, which rumors are that TCL has been a manufacturing partner for Sony for quite some time anyway.
I could definitely believe that.
There's a lot more.
So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Domingo, you got some thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, I'm a Sony guy, and it took me a minute to get to that particular point. Everything was really, let me see if I get this right, unattainable.
Okay.
At one point, yeah, I know. I heard you say it. I said I'm gonna use it back again. So to get that, but then when I first got my Sony camera, I loved it, and it took, I'm gonna say photography and video to a different level, but it just had a different look than everything else I had. And now when it comes to that, that's all I have besides DJI stuff and then whatever.
Yeah.
But TCL, just like Hisense, was like that was always in the game, always doing stuff. And you go to like concert venues and stuff like that, really places that care about like that have video walls and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it would be the one you see there.
That's
and
right.
Then, again, for 2 years straight, I mean, on the back of my CES badge, TCL, they were actually on it, and Hisense. So Sony wasn't really there this year, as far as like at all, which I was kind of shocked about. Panasonic was there, and they still got TVs. It's just that you don't see joints. So that's why I was wondering why that part. But they're still heavy. But I don't know their records, and you're giving me homework to do to look into Sony a little bit more for that side. But I think their crutch far with their technology and their clarity and who uses their products for what. I don't see them going down. But what I see TCL doing is that if they take over that side, the name is already big. And from what I saw, and the fact they are one of 2, probably one of 8 sponsors, but they're the only ones on the tag. The and they had that for 2 years straight. So whatever they're doing, they're great. But you'll start seeing them in Hisense. There's one more brand that was actually really real.
I mean, you kind of have to figure that, there's always, when you start really talking about the global economy and how a lot of that stuff works, man, it's very difficult to ignore the billions of people that make up the Chinese economy, right? And in order for you as a business to truly break in and be able to sell your product there, you generally need to make sure that you're doing business with Chinese companies, right? And so it could be a very strategic move for Sony as a Japanese company if they want to increase their footprint or their market share in a place like China, which is like, it's the same thing you see happening with movies here, right? You can talk your Netflix and, your AMC and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the production houses, Hollywood knows that the majority of the money to be made is China's one of the biggest markets for movies, right? Because there's so many people. But in order to be seen there, you have to bend to some of the things that they want and have things be a certain way in order for your stuff to even get shown there, right? And so it could be that it makes a lot of sense for them from a strategic partnership standpoint, not just to have access to the manufacturing, capabilities of a company like TCL, but it also could be that like Sony as a company that really wants to continue to push high-end stuff here in the US with tariffs and all that kind of stuff looming. Maybe that means that TCL is taking that on as the 51% owner. I think the thing that has most people concerned is that it's not a 50-50
split.
effort.
It's
It's
a
a 51-49, which is like, that to me says that Sony is allowing TCL to
to make
take
the big
over a
decisions
certain
and
portion
make
of their business, and that means that they're going to have the majority and they're going to have more say so, right? And so it could go in directions we wouldn't expect it to normally go, which is a place we don't generally expect to see Sony sitting in, right? When we think of Sony, just for what we know, it's hard for us to really think about them as not being the number one or not being the highest. But we've known for years that Samsung's been outdoing Sony, and that Samsung and LG too, and that most Sony TVs had Samsung screens in them, and like
sunscreens in
all
them.
that
Yeah,
kind of, again, like a lot of these manufacturers work together with each other. Who's doing the sound chip and what TV, and who's, a lot of these companies, if you open them up, you're going to find a lot of company names, people who are loyal to one company. You'll open your TV or your computer or whatever, and you'll see a lot of
those
companies who
cards
you
in
say
there.
you don't like, you'll see their stuff in there, right? That's the nature of the business. So it's an interesting move. Again, nothing is set in stone, but we'll see, right? Like, we'll see how it turns out. It'll be interesting to see whether or not we start to see more Sony branded TVs at a lower price point, because that's really where TCL managed to truly break into the market here, was having high quality at lower price points. So we'll see what that means, because if Sony then has TVs that are a lower price point, you're probably looking at higher sales, because a lot of people, TCL is like Insignia. Yeah, they're like, who is that? What is that?
That's it. Yeah,
But when they see the Sony name, so like TCL
you
stands
immediately
to
go.
do a lot better
Yeah.
by having Sony's branding. You know what I mean? Having Bravia on there, having Sony, it just makes sense.
Then it's like us that come in and to tell you behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
what? And you'd be like, for real?
Yeah.
It's
We knew that Insignia's TVs was made by Samsung and LG.
Yeah,
but nobody else did.
they ain't care. But
that.
it's just all these other brands have just been getting much better over the years. So it's like when you had like your Sony that was sitting on top of the throne, but when you had like Hisense coming in here, and there was a point in time, I was like, Hisense. I definitely did that in TCL when they first started showing up.
Yeah, because Hisense started selling refrigerators and washing machines at the same time they started dropping TVs on us, and it was like, hold on now,
wait a minute,
pick what I mean, pick a lane.
Westinghouse out there, Joe. I was like,
ooh,
yeah.
Hey, you know what, dog? You just throwing your age all around today, huh, man?
I'm just saying, they was out there, and I was like,
they was.
I was like,
I definitely had a Westinghouse monitor. I'm like, I can't hold you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. First robot, Westinghouse. You know what I'm saying? All right, so look, let's move on to the next one. K, you're up, bro.
Number 3. I'll go back and watch them so I can hear that.
My man is warming his vocals up. You know what I mean? Getting ready for it. Jokes, I need your assistance with this. If you jump into the Google Doc, I'm gonna need you to grab in the actual run of show. I didn't drop it in the link tab. I dropped it in with the run of show. So, all right, look. We talk a lot about Fortnite here. And they keep announcing new collaborations and so forth. And I've been very much on the like, Fortnite is not getting that space back on my console. I'm not giving them that hard drive space. However, today, they keep trying. Jokes, did you find the link?
I have it.
Man, look, throw the link up so we can. I don't even want to say it. Just throw the link up so I can discuss whether or not I need to make space. You know what I'm saying? That's already a problem.
Is it choppy?
No, it's cool on my end.
In the shadows, ancient evils and dark forces. The natural order is at stake. And so, new heroes shall rise. What will you do?
When you just have like generic Fortnite characters, Indian, right? Going into the realm of Dungeons and Dragons, shooting guns, choosing a class, choosing gear, getting the party co-op, actually doing dice rolls,
Fight the dragon.
You gotta go fight the zombie dragon. And it was all over the net.
Forge your path. Rise up. Become a hero.
So we talking about their co-op.
Oh, it's already available. Oh,
Correct.
oh,
Came out today. So they actually released. So they did like 5 new maps that are all D&D related maps, but different stuff that you can do in them. That one is the one that's like the most important to me. It's like jumping in co-op, put the code in. Might have to run some Dungeons and Dragons in Fortnite, bro. Like it might just be the move. The folks that put that together have actually created some of the best stuff in Fortnite, those separate worlds that they allow people to create. And you know, they got D&D. And on that note, also today, Doug Bowser, who is formerly the president of Nintendo of America, he officially retired from Nintendo on December 31st, so the last day of the year. Nintendo has a new co-president for Nintendo of America, but he just joined the board of directors for Hasbro, which owns Dungeons and Dragons. And we haven't really discussed Hasbro as an IP owner. We've talked a lot about WB. We've talked tons about Disney. But like, I just want to kind of go down the list. Somebody like Doug Bowser kind of coming into them as a lot of the success that Hasbro has seen over the last like 2 years or so, 3 years. Most of it is based in Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of it is based in, especially like Baldur's Gate 3 and the success of Baldur's Gate 3. You know, they've seen a huge uptick in interest in that, along with like Magic the Gathering, their ownership of Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, those cards, and like all of the IP that now they're beginning to add in with like the new Spider-Man decks and the Final Fantasy decks and all of that kind of stuff, right? But Hasbro, Heather said, didn't Hasbro collect IP like Pokemon? Kind of.
Kinda.
I'm gonna run like I want to run this down. Like think like so. Okay, obviously, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, Monopoly, Nerf, Transformers, GI Joe, Peppa Pig, Play-Doh, Power Rangers, My Little Pony, Mr. Potato Head, Twister, Bop It, Furbies. Hasbro owns a lot of IP. And this could be the very beginning of us really seeing more integration in the way. Like, I don't think maybe we seen G.I. Joe in Fortnite? I feel like we did. But like if we haven't,
Cobra Commander, yeah, I think so, because I think I do remember the gameplay with Cobra Commander.
Andrew said Hasbro needs
to
get what a fan of Power Rangers really wants. I mean, look.
Listen, I would love to be able to throw my hat in there and try to give a try at making a new series. Like, I'm open right now what they're apparently doing with this semi-reboot, whatever it is that they're doing. But right now, there's nothing that we really know about it. So,
truthfully, for Power Rangers right now, the comic books is where it's at. Like, that's... And the same thing for Transformers. Slash G.I. Joe. Like,
it's probably the best place. It's probably the best place for it, honestly. Like, the only thing sometimes I think they could do like animation, because I feel like just there's some things they just will not tackle on this live action front with Power Rangers. So, but the comics, they go on the ends.
Not too sure about Power Rangers, but basically G.I. Joe, they can do the cartoon. Take it back. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they have consistently put out new Transformer stuff in animated forms. Like They've done web series. Like
Mm-hmm.
Transformers really hasn't gone away. Even if it hasn't been great, it's still been like in the
Mm-hmm.
zeitgeist. G.I. Joe's been a little bit different, but like they've had the recent movies that, kind of are on
Mm-hmm.
the fishtail of like somewhere between what Fast and Furious is and what the MCU is. Like, you know what I mean? And that last Transformers movie where they basically announced at the end the crossover with G.I. Joe was like, I mean, all right, but
They trying.
yeah, if for Power Rangers, I'll be honest, if they could get away from the live action and get into animation, I think it would do them really, really well. Like if they were to partner up with the animation team, and if they were to take a note out of the Voltron book and partner up with the same folks that did Avatar: The Last Airbender and let them do a Power Rangers show, because what they did with Voltron was incredible for like 6
Mm-hmm.
seasons.
Yeah, solid 6 season.
That's a team that I would trust to take Power Rangers from the live action into animation, do
Mm-hmm.
it direct to Netflix, then do a Power Rangers movie that's an animated one that goes to theaters,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like trust them to put like a new enough twist on it and make it still feel nostalgic enough that you would gain new people, but also have all the original people who loved it. You know what I mean? In the same way. And if I was him, that's what I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at somebody to do something like that and just take it to that. And again, like, not be afraid to kind of push the envelope a little bit more and be a little bit more adult with the animation and the action and so forth that like they haven't really been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or they get the team that did the Batman and Jackie Chan adventures to do it.
Hey, listen, I wouldn't be mad at that. Those were excellent.
Yeah. Jokes, is the D&D joint enough to get you to jump back into Fortnite?
I don't know if that's the one. Like it's definitely interesting to be able to jump in. And I
It's
just
the co-op for me. It's the
no,
co-op, but
yeah.
I I I looked at the hard drives. I looked at the hard drive space for that joint, was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you're worth it, bro. We'll see.
No, no, no.